It is very nice to greet you again. In today's video we will talk about the following. Find out how long it takes to get your ex back. You don't know how long it will take to get your ex back. Heck, no one can know how long it will take. While I don't do magic, I am in the position to help you understand the mechanics behind how long it takes to get your ex back. Below I have listed 3 different timelines. These timelines are the most common cases in the amount of time it takes to get your ex back. Short timeline, medium timeline, long timeline. 1. The short timeline to get your ex back. I wanted to talk about this first because this is the timeline that most people want their recovery process to go on. The short timeline. It can happen when someone gets their ex back in 1 to 3 months. The short timeline is rare. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible because I've seen cases where it can happen. However, most people end up going through medium to long timelines, which I will define a little later. One thing I have learned is that the first few months after a breakup are really important. The things you do during those first 3 months can have the biggest impact on increasing your chances of getting your partner back. You can also seriously hurt your chances during those first 3 months if you do the wrong things. Problems I see with the short timeline. What I have learned about you is that you want results now. I think we call this impatience. As a society we have been conditioned to get things now. The truth is, we are all impatient and want immediate results. Well, when it comes to these things, results can take time. When you don't like the fact that it will take time, you get impatient and start forcing the process. This is one of the main problems I see with the short timeline. 2. The medium timeline. This is by far my favorite timeline of the 3. Why? Simple, almost everyone underestimates it. The medium timeline. It can happen if you get your ex back within 4 to 8 months. I want to point out one thing. If your personal timeline has already crossed into medium territory, don't freak out. In fact, it could be a good thing. The positives of the medium timeline. You are allowed to want your ex back, but you are not allowed to need your ex back. What I am trying to tell you here is that if you can master the above mindset and truly be able to say that you can live without your ex, the world is your oyster. Now, I bet you are wondering how this relates to the medium timeline. Well, I have dealt with enough emotional people to understand that getting the want versus need mindset right is not going to happen overnight. The truth is, you are very unlikely to get into the right mindset if you get your ex back in the short term. However, you are likely to get into the right mindset in the medium to long term. And the downside to this timeline is that your chances of success are slightly diminished. 3. The long timeline. Ah yes, the long scary timeline. If ever there was a timeline that people want to avoid, it is this one. The funny thing is, I don't think the long timeline is half as bad as most people think. First, it will be helpful to define exactly what the long timeline is. The long timeline. It can happen if you get your ex back within 9 to 12 months or more. The upsides of the long timeline. While it may be a little worrying to hear that it could take a whole year before you get your ex back, I also want you to realize that sometimes the best things in life are worth waiting for. The big picture. So how does being on a long timeline help you keep a bigger picture? Well, one thing I hope you're already noticing is that as time goes on, people tend to become less and less emotional. Sure, there are exceptions to every rule, but during the short time frame, one of the downsides was that you could get back together with your ex on a whim, too soon emotionally, and the end result would be an unhealthy cycle. During the medium timeline, your emotional state began to come back down to earth as you were able to work on developing a want versus need state. Keeping a bigger picture won't be easy, even if you're on a long timeline. Deep down, it's hard not to get emotional for someone you really care about. However, there is a clear advantage to stepping back from a situation and looking at the big picture of things. For one, you can begin to diagnose your overall chances of success. You have the ability to figure out if the two of you even have a chance, if he or she even wants you. You can look at your situation without emotion, and that is a very good thing. You are an essential part of what we do on this channel. For this reason, we keep an eye on what you need, and if it is your desire to recover your ex correctly and effectively, you must click on the link below.